Hello dear all, welcome to the Insights of Viral Microwave series. Today I'm going to discuss about bacterial metabolism part 2, which is going to cover a phototrophy part 1. In this session I'm going to cover what is photosynthesis, what is the role of photosynthetic pigments and structure of photosynthetic pigment, and what are the accessory pigments and what is the role of accessory pigments into the photosynthesis. So let's start with the session. Bacterial metabolism part 2, phototrophy part 1, which is covered in MI 302 unit 3. So the key points of the presentation is photosynthesis, chlorophyll and bacteriochlorophyll, which are known as photosynthetic pigments, carotenoids and phycobiliproteins, which are known as accessory pigments. Okay, so what is photosynthesis? Photosynthesis means light energy converted into the chemical energy. Light energy in a form of photons converted into chemical energy in a form of ATP and reducing power. This ATP and reducing power is going to be utilized for the carbon dioxide fixation, means reduction of carbon dioxide or incorporation of carbon dioxide. So this photosynthesis process is actually divided in a two part. One that is known as light reaction, second one that is known as dark reaction. So in light reaction, photon is going to be absorbed by the photosynthetic pigments, and during the dark reaction, means in light reaction ATP and reducing power synthesis will be there, and during the dark reaction carbon dioxide fixation will be done by the help of ATP and reducing power which has produced during the light reaction. Now this particular group of organisms who are following photosynthesis, they are known as phototrophs. Now most of the phototrophs are autotrophs because they are utilizing carbon dioxide as their main energy source. Okay, now this photosynthesis is also divided in a two portion. One that is known as oxygenic photosynthesis, and second one that is known as anoxygenic photosynthesis. Now why this subdividation is there in light and dark reaction? So oxygenic photosynthesis means this particular group of organisms who are following oxygenic photosynthesis, they are going to release oxygen into the atmosphere. Now this particular group of organisms who are following oxygenic photosynthesis, they are very much important for the replenishing of oxygen into the earth atmosphere. And the second group of organisms who are following anoxygenic photosynthesis, during the process of photosynthesis, they are not going to produce oxygen. So oxygenic photosynthesis is going to release oxygen, and inoxygenic photosynthesis that is not going to produce oxygen. So this is a two portion, and this two portion is carried out by two different group of organisms. So let's move on the groups of organism. Now, the organisms who are following anoxygenic photosynthesis, they are divided into two subgroups. First one, they are known as purple non-sulfur bacteria who are following, who are utilizing other sources other than the sulfur, and they are following anoxygenic photosynthesis. They are not going to produce oxygen. The another group that is known as green sulfur bacteria, they are utilizing sulfur as their energy source, and they are also not going to release oxygen into the atmosphere. The other group who are following oxygenic photosynthesis, it is covered by cyanobacteria, algae and green plants. This particular group of organisms are following oxygenic photosynthesis, and they are producing oxygen during their photosynthetic process. Now, this is the equation. So you can see from the first equation that oxygenic photosynthesis is going to produce around 6 oxygen molecule, see 6 O2 during the process, And during anoxygenic photosynthesis, there is no oxygen is going to be released into the atmosphere. So by that way, oxygenic photosynthesis and anoxygenic photosynthesis is differentiated. Now here the H2A, that is electron donor. Now here in oxygenic photosynthesis, the electron donor is water. And here this is maybe sometimes water, sometimes H2S, sometimes H2, or any other electron donor other than H2O, right? So by that way, this two process is differentiated. Okay, now let's move on the photosynthetic pigments. So the center of whole photosynthesis process are photosynthetic pigments, and the most important pigment is chlorophyll and bacteriochlorophyll. Now, chlorophyll, that is a planar molecule. It's like planar molecule, and it is just having a structure like porphyrin. How it is looking like a porphyrin, that I will show you in the next slide. Now, this particular two pigments are chlorophyll and bacteriochlorophyll. They are most important, and they are having different absorption spectra for the absorption of light. So let's move on the structure of chlorophyll. So I hope you all have seen the solar panel. Solar panel is a flat structure, right? And it is open. It's just like open, like it can absorb a maximum amount of light during the light reaction, during the daylight, right? So this particular molecule of chlorophyll is same as a solar panel. It's a planar molecule. So center of the atom, so at center of the structure of chlorophyll is magnesium, and this magnesium is attached with the four different nitrogen molecule, and by that way this particular molecule is just looking like a porphyrin ring. So I hope you can see from here. Let's see, this is a magnesium atom. Center of the chlorophyll molecule is magnesium, and it is attached with the four nitrogen, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So by this way, and the other groups are attached over here, and by this way this particular molecule is looking like a porphyrin ring. So I hope you clear with the structure of chlorophyll now. It is looking like a porphyrin rings, and it is a flat or planar molecule. It's flat, or it is going to settle around, see, chlorophyll molecule, around 300 molecule of chlorophyll is going to attach like that. It is able to absorb a maximum amount of photons during daylight. So let's move on the absorption spectra of chlorophyll. Now, see, cyanobacteria produce chlorophyll A. Prochlorophytes, they are oxygenic phototrophs, produce chlorophyll A and B both. And now, chlorophyll B absorb 645 nanometer wavelength. So it is lower as compared to the chlorophyll A. So chlorophyll A is going to absorb 665 nanometer wavelength of light. Now this chlorophyll A and B is going to absorb a light from red wavelength and from the blue wavelength, and they are going to emit a green color. So these photosynthetic organisms who are having chlorophyll A and B, they look like green in color. So now, so oxygenic bacteria they possess chlorophyll A and chlorophyll B, whereas anoxygenic phototrophs possess bacteriochlorophyll rather than the chlorophyll. Chlorophyll pigments are located within the spatial membranes of the bacteria. Now, so as I told you that 300 molecule of chlorophyll is going to arrange like that in a flat manner or in a planar manner, so it can absorb a maximum amount of photons. So this particular arrangement is known as antenna, right? Or see, antenna pigment, it's a funnel light energy to reaction center. So I hope you can see from here, I have tried to draw the structure of, it is a funnel like structure, right? And it is going to transfer, it is going to absorb a photon over here, and it is going to transfer the photon to the reaction center. And reaction center participate directly in the conversion of light energy to ATP. So what is the role of antenna? It's a flat molecule to produce a arrangement like a funnel to absorb a maximum. I hope you have seen the DTH disc or Videocon disc of your टीवी चैनल्स. सो दिस एंटेना इज जस्ट लाइक दैट, वो वैसा ही है जैसे आपकी वो डिस्क है. वो डिस्क इसीलिए है कि वो पूरा सारे रेडिएशन, मतलब सारे जो वेव्स आते हैं उसको एब्जॉर्ब करके वो रिएक्शन सेंटर पे मूव करता है. वो सेंटर में कैमरा होता है जहाँ पे वो मूव करता है, एंड देन इट इज गोइंग टू ट्रांसफर all the signals to your TV sets. Like that, only this particular antenna is going to be work. And what is the role of reaction center? Reaction center is going to transfer this particular electron or photon, whatever antenna has absorbed, for the ATP synthesis and for the synthesis of reducing power. Now, so let's start with the accessory pigments, carotenoids and phycobilins. Now, carotenoids, carotene is present into the cyanobacteria. Now, these carotenoids and phycobilins are known as accessory pigments. Accessory pigments, it's like, you know, see, हर सिचुएशन में लाइट की इंटेंसिटी एक जैसी नहीं होती है. So, as you know that chlorophyll A and B are going to absorb at different wavelength of light, and as you know that all the time that wavelength is not available. Sometimes it is very low, sometimes it very high. So the role of accessory pigments is to provide required photon during the low intensity of light or during the high intensity of light. So carotenes are actually present into the cyanobacteria, and phycobilins or phycobilly proteins are generally present into the red algae and sometimes in cyanobacteria too. Now, these two pigments are going to absorb a different wavelength of light. The another role of this particular pigment is to protect this phototroph from the high intensity of light, and they are going to absorb a different wavelength. It's written over here, they are going to absorb yellow, red, brown and green. So all the wavelength they are going to absorb, and they are going to transfer all the absorbed light to the chlorophyll, right? So chlorophyll in a form of antenna or in a form of funnel, they are going to absorb all the photon, absorbed by itself or transferred by the accessory pigments. All photons will be transferred to the reaction center, and reaction center will follow or will transfer to electron transport chain for the photosystem 1 and 2, that we are going to learn in our next session. What are the photosystem and how they are going to work during the oxygenic photosynthesis and during the anoxygenic photosynthesis. So I hope you are clear with the role of photosynthetic pigments. and role of accessory pigments. Thank you everyone. Have a nice day.